Welcome guys. Today we are going to discuss about the OSI model. So this video is going to be very important for you guys to understand how this OSI model is going to be work. In this video, we are going to discuss about why OSI is required, what is OSI, then OSI model, the interface and services, and the working, and the different layers and the layer functions of each layer. So please focus on this video. So very first, what is the why OSI's model is required? So if you talked about the earlier days, this old era, where there were many of vendors available as like today's era, but every vendors develop their own devices, and the developed devices are only possible to communicate with the same kind of vendors devices. So this was the scenario earlier days. So there was a total dependency. If let's say Motorola device is there, so Motorola device can communicate with the only Motorola. Intel can communicate with the only Intel. But this is not feasible one that key if in a total world only there is no only one vendor to be there of all the devices. So there's supposed to be a kind of heterogeneous kind of environment supposed to be there so that different devices can communicate with the different manufacturer devices. So there is supposed to be independency there. There is supposed to not that there dependencies there. So standardizing the networking protocols to allow communication across the entire planet, across all the networking device. This is what the motto. To build a shared forum for the software developers and manufacturers of hardware that will able to development of the networking devices that can communicate over the internet. So as I told you that this is also very important that every manufacturer will manufacture their devices, and they could have a standard communication forum so that the communication forum is going to be used to communicate across the different kind of platforms are available to help the network administrator by splitting the large system of data exchange into smaller parts. And smaller fragments are easily to understand and to handle and to address the problems. So all the things are going to be breakdown and which is going to be at the layer level. So it is going to be very easy to debug and handle, understand to any problem. In a simple word, it supports the user communication even if the heterogeneous platform like a hardware and the software. Let's say if I have hardware 32-bit, 54, 64-bit, any uh, X manufacturer, Y manufacturer is there, and even the softwares are available, softwares can be different. Still, it is going to be useful to communicate. Hence, it requires to have a common platform for communication between the sender and receivers. Because today's era, all the devices are one heterogeneous one, everyone following the every other rules. Every devices have their own configuration, own carrying capacity, etc., but still we require some common platform. That common platform is going to be provided by the OSI model. And let's talk about what do you mean by OSI model. So OSI model, let's say OSI stand for open system interconnection, is a reference model. It is a reference model that describes how information from software application in one computer moves to the physical medium to the software application in other. If I have a sender and if I have a receiver, many of applications are running on the sender end and the receiver end. So via if there is a media, how this information is going to pass from this media to the receiver one. This is going to be a work of OSI model. This is the communication model or a platform. OSI model was developed by the International Organization for the Standard, that is ISO, in 1984. It is after the TCP/IP, and it now considered as the architecture model for the intercomputer communications. OSI consists of the 7 layers. Each layer performs their own particular task, and it is a prototype model only. This is what the reference model. So this is what the basic points about the related with the OSI model, whereas the OSI model is only a reference model, not implemented model. Then we have basic terms available over here. The first term is what? The service. The service, let's say, service are the set of operations and the interface provide the way to implement them. The services are the set of operation. What kind of operation to be performed over that particular model? It is going to be a service. And these services are provided via the interface. Okay. Then interface is a boundary between the adjacent layer in this same system called the interface. Okay, so if I have a layer and layer, so where somewhere in this one we have an interface. Then each layer uses the services of the layer below it by communicating via service access point. So here if we have a service access point, so via service access point, each upper layer and lower layer can have the communication between them. So upper layer can send message to the lower can send to the their lower layer, and their vice versa for lower layer to the upper layer at the receiver. The service access point is an identifying label for the network endpoints use the OSI networking. So these terms are very important. The service access point is a conceptual location at which the one OSI layer can request the service of another request. So at the SAP, it is conceptual location. It is what logical location in which the one OSI layer can request the service to the another OSI layer. So this is what very important, guys. Now let's see the another one, how it is going to work. The functions of each layer in the computer networking architecture is to provide the services by setting up the connections, delivering the information to the layer above it. The active elements in the layer is often called as entity. An entity can be defined, can be a software entity such as the process, or a hardware entity such an intelligence IO chips. So this is what the entity definition. The entity in the layer M implemented a service used by the layer n plus 1. In this case, layer n called the service provider and layer n plus 1 is called as the service user. So one will be the service provider and one will be the service user, that is upper layer and the lower layer. The layer n may use the service of the layer n minus 1 in order to provide its service. It may offer several classes of services, for example, the fast, expensive communication and the slow or cheap communication, etc. And services are available at SAP. As we know, the SAP is what the logic conceptual location where the services can be accessed, because one is provider and one is users. The layer n SAP are the place where layer n plus 1 can access the services offered. Each SAP has an address that uniquely identifies. So this is what the simple working. Let's diagrammatically go to the another page of working. In order for the two layers to exchange the information, there has to be an agreement agreed upon the set of rules about the interface. At the typical interface, let's say layer n plus 1 is there. Entity passes an IDU, that is interface data unit, to the layer n entity through the SAP. Then the IDU consists of the SDU, that is the service data unit, and some control information. Then the SDU is the information passes across the network to the peer entities and then up to the layer n plus 1, that is in one peer. The control information is needed to help the lower layer, so its job that is but it's not part of the data itself, like number of bytes in the SDU. If you go with the diagram, here there is a PDU and there is packet data unit. So if you go with the layer level, so here we can say the protocol control information PCI information plus SDU is there. So let's say this is what the service data unit is going to be added to the PCI. Then it is going to become one kind of entity over here, PSI, and the SDU. It is going to be again followed passes to the lower layer, that is n minus 1 layer, where PCI plus SDU, the PCI of that layer only, the protocol control information of that layer only, it is going to be added over here. This is kind of an encapsulation process where upper layer send their data to the lower layer, and whatever the header and the datagram what there, it is going to be combinedly message to the lower layer, and the lower layer can add their entity, and the lower layer can add their header or trailer at the particular their ends. So this is what the standard working of this one. So how to remember the layers are available? As we know that there are 7 layers are available in OSI model. So here there is a trick is there. Please do not throw sausage pizza away. So every letter of this particular sentence, please stand for presentation, physical layer, do stand for data link layer, N stand for network layer, T stand for transport layer, S stand for session layer, P stand for presentation layer, and A stand for application layer. Second trick is what all people seems to need the data processing. Okay, this is what the application presentation, then again the session layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer, and physical layer. And the three, there is another tricks is there. Array please samajh tujhe nahi data pyare. So these are also in the tricks are there available to understand and to remind the different layers of the OSI model. And let's take the brief about the layers. What layers is there? There are the layers are categorized into host layer, middle layer, and the lower layer. In the host layer, also called as the software layers, it is also called as upper layer. In that we have a 3 layers: application layer, session layer, and presentation layer. Application layer data is what data or the message. Session layer, it can be data or message. Presentation also, it can be data or message. If you go down to the layer, that is what the transport layer. The transport layer is what the heart of OSI model, where the data unit is what the segment. All the data it can be identified on the basis of segments. Let's come to the down layer, that is media layers or the hardware layers or the lower layer. We can say there are network layer, data link layer, and a physical layer. At network layer, what we have a datagrams or the packets. At data link layer, what we have a frames. At the physical layer, what we have bits. So these are the data units and the different names of the layers and which layer is going to be used for what purpose. Then go to the what we can say the architecture of this particular OSI model. Now, if you go with the architecture of this OSI model, let's consider this is what the sender is, and this is what the receiver. This discussion is very important, guys. Let's consider this is what the sender and this is common user. This is what the common user wants to communicate it to some of the server. Let's say the server is google.com. Server is google.com. But the scenario number one, all the users are not directly connected to google.com. So they have to travel from their multiple networks together. Okay. So then only the request can reach to the google.com. If what happened, if the sender is directly connected to the google.com server, so there is no requirement of any OSI model. But here the user is far away from the this particular google.com. So what is going to happen? Let's say user generally uses any kind of application. Let's say he has user, let's say IE Internet Explorer, let's say in browser, and these users want to search the content, let's say, or something. What do you mean by OSI model? So how it is going to be happen in layer wise? So first of all, let's consider the IP address of, let's say, this one 1.0.0.0, and let's say this is IP address about 2.0.0.0. Let's consider. So on this user to Google communication, how it is going to happen? User has opened this particular application. That application is what Internet Explorer application to search for the specific queries, and he typed that, opened it browser and search for something. What is going to happen then? Application layer is what supporting for the there is an application, that is application is what browser. Now user has searched on that application layer for what is OSI model. So in the, how that OSI model is going to be present, the content of OSI model is going to be present. It is going to be like a presentation, encrypted format, compressed format, etc., etc., or maybe readable format, or maybe unreadable format. Then it goes to the session layer. In the session layer, if only one task is there, so only one session is maintained. But if there are multiple tasks are running on the sender end, that requester end, there can be multiple sessions can be maintained. Then a request goes to the transport layer. In transport layer, what we have, there are TCP and UDP protocols. In the transport layer works on the principle of the port number. So here, through that request, the port numbers can be assigned. So let's say source have assigned 100 port number, and receiver can assign, let's say, 80 port number. So these port numbers prefix to that particular IP address. What IP address is there? So 1.0.0.0. This again goes to the lower layer. Here, the source and destination addresses entities are going to be identified on the basis of the IP address. So here 1.0, 1.0.0.0, and the destination will be 2.0.0.0. Okay. Again, this query goes to the data link layer, and data link layer, what we have a MAC address, and they're supposed to be binding up the IP address to the MAC address with the help of, let's say, ARP protocols. It is going to be handled at the data link layer. Then it is goes to the physical layer. Actually, there is a cable through which the bits can be transferred. Now here, after reaching to this physical layer, there can be a cable, there can be a multiple routers also, there can be multiple devices also, there can be multiple networks also. After reaching to this one, so process will be again same. So here with the reachable of the physical layer, it is going to be available. Then physical layer to data link layer, it is going to be identify whether data, what was the MAC address, and for which device is going to be sent. Then it is going to be network layer. It is going to be identify the IP address. It is going to be then go to the transport layer. It's going to be identify the port number earlier sent by the sender. So transport layer, then the session, and then the presentation, and then application. This process is going to be happen for every time, and the packets are going to be reached from the source to destination each time. So here we have taken the simple application where sender want to search some content over the one of the server, let's say google.com, how the request is going to be passes from the layer to layer. Okay, so here this is what the best example, as that's why the OSI model is going to be help us for the standard communication. After this watching this, let's have the separate functions of each layer, how the separate each layer is going to perform their carry on their what we can say the functions. So very first is a physical layer. Physical layer is what for the movement of individual bits from one hop node to the next hop. the physical layer is responsible, because here in physical layer there are the physical media like cable, coaxial cable, etc., etc., through which their bits can be transferred. It helps to synchronize synchronization of bit with the help of specific mechanism. It helps for the synchronization of the bit. And apart from this, it activates, maintain, and deactivate the physical connections. So these are also the functions of this layer, maintaining the connections, because there are multiple connections are there. To define voltage and data rate needed to transmit, to convert the digital bits into the electrical signals, it is also going to be used. To decide whether the transmission is simplex, half duplex, or the full duplex, where simplex is best example is a keyboard, one side only. Half duplex will be the monitor. We can see, keyboards and monitor will be the simplex. Walkie-talkie can be half duplex, and the telephone can be a full duplex. The physical layer is concerned with the connection of devices to the media, that is line configuration, and to define the physical topology. So these are the different functions taken care by the physical layer. So let's talk about the second layer, and that second layer is the data link layer. The data link layer is very responsible to have uh, moving the frames from one node to another node. So here there is a data unit about the frame. So whatever the bits received earlier, that bits are going to be combined together and will become the frame. So framing is one first task. And this layer divided the stream of bits received from the network into the manageable data units called as a frame. So it is a set of 0, 1, 0, whatever one. This is what the frame. Frame is with that. Physical addressing. Here is the concept of the MAC address, which is of 48 bit. So physical addressing is there carried out by the data link layer. It is a flow control. It provides the flow control mechanism to avoid the fast transmission over running a slow receiver. Let's say if the sender and receiver is there, and sender is very faster as compared to the receiver, or vice versa, receiver is faster as compared to the source. So here there's supposed to be a kind of a data rate handling mechanism. That is what the flow control. So that producer can produce in a rate, a receiver can receive in that rate, but there is supposed to be a kind of buffer in between them so that the speed can be maintained. Error control, it is achieved by adding the trailer at the end of the frame. So every layer, this data link layer add the trailer information at the end of the frame. It use the mechanism to prevent a duplication of the frame, so that the frames can be identified uniquely across that particular network. Then last function is what the access control. The layer determines which device has a control over the link at any given time when two or more devices are connected to the same link. Okay, so these are the functions are provided by the data link layer for the users on the OSI model, like framing, physical addressing, flow control, error control, etc. Where there is a switch is going to be available at this layer. And then let's talk about the network layer. The network layer having the lots of functionalities for the delivery of individual packets. So we know that the packets as a unit over here, from the source host to the destination host, that is end-to-end delivery is going to be possible. So here, this is what the function of network layer, where end-to-end delivery is possible. To translate the logical network address into physical machine address, that is the number used to as a destination ID in the physical network arts. So this is also logical addressing is also the function of network layer. Apart from this, to determine the quality of service by deciding the priority of the message and then route of the message, will take it if there are the several way to the message can go to its destination. Second will be packet forwarding and routing. And this is what the very much important service guide, packet forwarding and routing. So routing is what selecting a best path, and forwarding was forwarding the packet from the source to destination with the help of any mechanism. That is what important. And then the fragmentation is also, and fragmentation and reassembly. If the size of the packets of datagram is very large, then there is a unit, that is what the unit is MTU, maximum transfer unit. So this is going to be done with the help of the network layer, and where the MTU is going to be, if let's say 500, and the size of the package is what, let's say 100, so that 500 is going to be divided into 5 parts, 100 and 100, so that the datagram can be transferred from source to destination. So here we can say logical addressing, quality of services, then packet forwarding and routing, and the fragmentation and reassembly. These are the 5 to 4 main services of the network layer. Let's talk about the next layer, and that layer is what? The transport layer. And transport layer is what the uh, process to process communication is happened on the basis of transport layer. Let's say if I have a sender and if I have a receiver, where sender have, let's say, many applications, Facebook application, Gmail application, any application. This individual application can be communicated with individual applications of the receivers. So okay, if I'm typing message hi and hello, this is going to be happen over this transport layer. What are the different functionalities of the transport layer? Very first is what segmentation and reassembly. It divides each message into packets at the source and reassemble that in the destination. So this is what the process, segmentation and reassembly. Then service point addressing. The transport layer header H4 includes service point delivery to the specific process from the source to the specific process at the destination. The service point addressing is also another function. Connector control. The layer can be either connection less or connection oriented. So here we have a TCP and UDP protocol. So TCP is connection oriented and UDP is connection less. UDP is connection less. The connection control is going to happen. This is what the code part is there. Flow control is it provides the end-to-end flow control rather than the across the single links, and the error control is also possible for the duplication identification. The error control is also possible with the checksum, etc., etc. So these are the functions of the transport layer. Then go to the upper layer. There are three upper layers: sessions, presentation, and application. In this session, presentation, application, let's say session layer, there is a first function is a dialog control. What do you mean dialog control? That is in the network dialog controller, the session layer in the network model allows two systems to enter into the dialog for the communication, and that communication can be half duplex or full duplex. So in order if the two entities want to communicate, so that dialog can be handled with the help of session. Let's say Facebook to Facebook, Gmail to Gmail, synchronization. It establishes, maintain, synchronize the interaction among the communication system. So synchronization is also function of the session layer. Token management. This layer prevents two parties from attempting the same critical operation at the same time. So if we have a token to access any critical region, so that time it is going to be a synchronous activity, so that the activity can be handled one after another. Establishing, maintaining sessions of different applications is going to be handled by session layer. These are all functions. So these are the three main functions of the session layer. Let's talk about the presentation layer. Presentation layer is what? How that matter, how that content will be presented in front of the user. That is what the presentation layer. So translation, that is encoding and decoding mechanism is done. Compression, reducing the bits of that particular content is done. Encryption, that is for the security purpose, encryption is going to be done. It is concerned with the syntax and semantics. This is very important, guys, because we need not to lose the meaning. We cannot boycott of the syntax also. So this is going to be very much important functions of the presentation, like translation, that is compression, encryption, and the syntax and semantics. Then application layer. Application can be many applications, like a database access application, email application, directory services application, network virtual terminal applications, file transfer, file management. So at the application layer, there can be multiple applications are available. The applications are going to be used by the users to get the services. Let's say if I have an email service, so I had to use Gmail. If I have, let's say, secure logging, so I need to use, let's say, SSH. Remote login, let's say, remote logging as a function, let's say PuTTY as a function, or TeamViewer as a application, or any protocol, any application that wants to use by the application users, the users can use that application for accessing the information. Okay, so these are the applications of all the layers available in this particular OSI model. So now, apart from this, what we have discussed so far, we have discussed the functions of each layer in that of OSI model. So let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of the OSI model. So quickly, the advantages can be, it is a layered framework for the design of the network system. It is truly generic model, as we discussed. It is a reference model. It is easy to add multiple networks model in the proper way, because they have separated all the layers properly. This layered architecture follow the abstraction principle. Change in one layer does not impact to the other layer. Let's say upper layer and the lower layer. If we want to change the upper layer, it is not going to be replicated to the lower layer. But there are some disadvantages. It is very complex to understand and manage. It has less privacy. Due to the complexity of the OSI model, first implementation were pretty heavy and the slow. Implementation pretty heavy and low. It may find sometimes difficult to fit the new protocol in the model. This is because this model was created before the invention of any protocols. So model developed first, then the protocols have fit. So it may be possible that is not forward compatible. There is some duplications of services at every layer, like both transport and data link layer, the error control and the flow control is duplicated. There is also interdependency among the layers. This layer cannot work in the parallel, and they have to be to wait to receive the data from the precedence layer. So these are the drawbacks of this particular OSI model and the advantage of this OSI model. So okay, I hope guys that working of the OSI model has clear, and the functions of the OSI model has clear to you guys. And I have given you that example that how the contents are going to be searched from the sender to the google.com, and at each level every layers add their own identity to identify the request, so that the request remain present at the receiver end, so that request can be identified at each layer. So the application, presentation, session, transport, network layer, data link layer, and the physical layer, every layers, they have different devices also on the different devices, and different mechanisms are available. Still, this OSI model is going to be very useful for sending the packets from the sending the data from the source end to the receiver end. Okay, and this is what the common platform for communication is, what the OSI model. Thank you.